from its untamed days before skyscrapers to the shocking moments on Wall Street in 1920. Have you ever seen New York through the authentic lens of the past? Today, we'll explore precious historical footage, from President Lincoln's funeral procession to the first moments of the Statue of Liberty, and so many other stories. If you love history, please like, share this video, and subscribe to Old Photo History so you don't miss our fascinating uploads. Now, let's begin. This 1861 photo captures members of Company G of the 71st New York Volunteer Regiment. An important historical detail is that New York's first photo from 1839 was lost, so the Civil War truly propelled the era of documentary photography. These are rare images capturing the appearance of Union soldiers right in New York before joining the war. This photo captures April 25, 1865, one of the first state events preserved on silver-coated copper plates. President Abraham Lincoln's funeral procession passed through New York during a journey spanning 14 cities. Thousands of citizens flooded the streets to bid him a final farewell before his remains were transported to his resting place in Springfield, Illinois. In 1865, Coney Island in southwest Brooklyn remained a peaceful retreat. This photo captures ladies and gentlemen promenading on the beach to enjoy the fresh air. This was the final moment of tranquility, as just 5 years later, the railroad permanently altered the landscape, transforming it into a bustling complex of hotels and amusement rides. This 1867 photo captures the moment Charles T. Harvey risked testing New York's first elevated railway in a primitive single car. This line, the precursor to the 9th Avenue L, officially opened in 1868 and ran along Greenwich Street. It was a historic breakthrough aimed at solving ground-level congestion by taking transportation to the skies. This 1877 photo reveals the immense scale of the Brooklyn Bridge, just over halfway through its 14-year construction. Two workers stand on a high catwalk, surveying this 19th century engineering marvel. Upon its opening in 1883, it was the world's longest suspension bridge, creating the first fixed connection between Manhattan and Brooklyn across the East River. This surreal 1885 photo captures the Statue of Liberty's giant feet waiting on the ground. Although the gift from France arrived in New York in June 1885, the pedestal on Bedloe's Island remained incomplete. Consequently, the statue's sections had to sit scattered and waiting, a rare moment revealing the true scale of the details before they were assembled into a unified icon. The wait ended on October 28, 1886, when the Statue of Liberty was officially unveiled. This photo is not a perfect portrait, but a raw documentation of the day's chaos and excitement. Thick smoke from the cannon salute partially obscured the statue, as crowds on boats and onshore cheered for the nation's new symbol. After national celebrations, New Yorkers returned to the rhythm of daily life. This 1887 photo takes us inside Steve Brody's bar on the notorious Bowery. It is a rare, authentic document of 19th century saloon culture, where men gathered, discussed current events, and celebrated liberty over shots of whiskey. On March 11, 1888, the Great White Hurricane struck New York with 130 km/h winds, creating snowdrifts up to 15 meters high that engulfed the streets. This total paralysis was a historical turning point. It forced city officials to bury power lines, telegraphs, and transport underground, laying the foundation for New York's modern subterranean infrastructure. Not only bringing blizzards, New York winters also offered beautiful natural skating rinks. This 1890 photo captures residents enjoying Central Park, highlighted by the imposing Dakota building in the background. Opened in 1884 in German Renaissance style, it is the city's oldest surviving luxury apartment building, standing solitary amidst the rare open landscape of that time. January 1, 1892, marked the beginning of a massive migration wave with the opening of the Ellis Island Processing Center. Irish teenager Annie Moore made history as the very first immigrant processed here. Over the next 62 years of operation, this island became the gateway for over 12 million people seeking the American dream. For millions of immigrants, the streets of New York were not paved with gold as rumored. This 1893 photo exposes the naked reality. A Jewish man preparing a sacred Sabbath meal inside a damp cellar. With no running water or toilets, this was the harsh life inside the tenements that the working class had to endure. Contrasting with the poverty, New York was also where great minds soared. This 1894 photo was taken at the laboratory of immigrant inventor Nikola Tesla on South Fifth Avenue. Here, Tesla, blurred in the center, conducts a daring experiment, passing a high-frequency electric current through the body of legendary writer Mark Twain to illuminate a lamp, proving the magical intersection of science and art. Not everyone achieved dazzling success like Tesla. For the majority of immigrants, the American dream started on dusty sidewalks. This 1897 photo on Mulberry Street captures peddlers with primitive pushcarts. They were the first class of small merchants who used hard work and pennies earned on the streets to lay the foundation for New York's economy. By the turn of the century, New York had become an economic juggernaut with the world's busiest port. This surplus wealth democratized even aristocratic sports. At Coney Island, we witnessed the birth of mechanized polo. The rules remained the same, but horses were replaced by cars, marking the aggressive intrusion of the machine age into leisure life. In 1901, Theodore Roosevelt made history as the 26th and youngest president of the United States. He was also the first president born right in New York City, raised on East 20th Street. This photo captures his typical fiery oratorical style during his inauguration year, symbolizing the new excitement and power he brought to the White House. In 1902, the Flatiron Building was completed, marking the era of artistic skyscrapers. With its unique wedge shape, photographer Alfred Stieglitz likened it to the bow of a monster ocean liner sailing up Broadway. The combination of structural steel frames and elevators allowed New York to reach for the sky, turning limited land into a vertical concrete forest. To rescue narrow streets choking on traffic, New York looked underground. On October 27, 1904, the subway system officially opened. This photo captures the very first riders at City Hall Station. Not citizens, but the financiers and city officials who realized the bold plan approved just 10 years earlier. In the same year, 1904, New York's worst maritime tragedy before 9/11 occurred. On June 15th, the General Slocum caught fire on the East River, claiming 1,021 lives. Victims were mostly women and children from the German community on a picnic, turning a day of fun into a grief that permanently wiped out Little Germany. Contrasting with the shadows of tragedy was the dazzling light of entertainment. By 1905, Coney Island had completed a spectacular transformation, from a quiet beach into a boisterous entertainment capital. This photo captures Luna Park, the heart of that transformation. With thousands of electric bulbs illuminating the night sky, it was a mesmerizing fairyland, beckoning New Yorkers to come and momentarily forget reality. In 1908, Greenwich Village had become the capital of free-spirited artists. This photo holds dual historical significance. It was taken by Jessie Tarbox Beals, the first female photojournalist in the U.S., and features painter Charlotte Powell. Powell's short haircut at the time was a cultural shock, a public statement challenging the rigid social norms of the 20th century. Continuing through photographer Jessie Tarbox Beals' lens, we step inside The Purple Pup in 1910. Though it appears modest by today's standards, this was once Greenwich Village's wildest hotspot. Notice the Drink Me sign inspired by Alice in Wonderland, a mischievous secret code for the endless parties of the bohemian artist crowd. On March 25, 1911, the cruelty of greed led to the tragedy at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, 146 garment workers perished because owners chained the emergency exits to prevent theft. This photo records not the fire, but the sheer shock of the firefighters facing the horrific scene they had just witnessed. Following the Triangle Shirtwaist tragedy, the wave of struggle rose high. In 1912, Greenwich Village women took to the streets with a banner carrying a high-impact message. "We were voters out west. Why deny our rights in the east?" This was a direct criticism of New York's backwardness, comparing it to the western state of Wyoming, where women had been voting since 1869. In 1913, the fight for gender equality spread from the streets to the diamond with the formation of the New York Female Giants baseball team. 32 female players shattered stereotypes, splitting into red and blue teams for fierce competition. Captain Ida Schnall in the white hat later became a Hollywood star, proving the versatility and strength of the modern woman. May 3, 1913, marked the start of an extraordinary sporting feat at New York City Hall. Fred J. Scherer and Walter Wiley set off on a transcontinental bicycle race to San Francisco, organized by the Century Road Club. With primitive bicycles and the harsh road conditions of the time, completing this 3,000-mile journey in just 47 days was truly a superhuman effort. A historic crossover moment, just before midnight on June 30th, 1919. These men are rushing to enjoy the very last legal drops of alcohol in a packed New York bar. Minutes later, the 18th Amendment took effect, officially killing the liquor industry and inadvertently ushering in a dark era of gangsters and bootlegging that lasted for 14 years. On September 16, 1920, Wall Street was shaken by a horrific explosion. A horse-drawn cart loaded with explosives detonated right outside the U.S. Assay Office, killing over 30 people and injuring 300. This was one of the FBI's first major cases but remains unsolved. The leading theory points to Italian anarchists, marking the first act of international terrorism on U.S. soil. Enforcing prohibition was always an uphill battle. In this 1921 photo, Deputy Police Commissioner John A. Leach, Wright, sternly oversees agents pouring barrels of bootleg liquor into New York sewers. However, historians note that these public raids were largely performative, while the underground current of the black market continued to thrive right beneath their feet. Defying the ban, New Yorkers still found ways to circumvent the law. Speakeasies sprung up everywhere, led by Texas Guinan, the queen of the nightclubs. Though arrested multiple times, she was never convicted as police could not prove her ownership. Texas Guinan serves as a timeless reminder that, no matter the circumstances, this city will always find its own way. From the primitive dirt roads of 1861 to the dazzling lights of the Jazz Age, New York has spectacularly transformed from a chaotic port into a capital of skyscrapers. It is a story of courage, intellect, and the relentless human aspiration to rise and touch the American dream. Which photo impressed you the most? Comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Old Photo History. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.